Alright, this video is going to serve as an update to the Bleed Warden I posted yesterday. I want to give a shout out to Amavinol. I hope that's pronounced correctly. But he commented on the Steam guide and he made a bunch of good recommendations for where to take the build and pointed out I had a few misconceptions. So in that build yesterday, I pointed out that, let's see, where's bleed? Bleed damage is considered ethereal, and that ethereal, wherever it is in here, is a special type of damage. It ignores all resistances, which means that I don't need overpower and that I don't need to scale any damage types except for bleeding damage. All of those things are true, except not in this context. If you look, our main damage dealer is Razor Tips, which says splinters cause bleeding for 414% of damage dealt. The thing I had a misconception about is I thought this meant damage. What it's actually referring to is the damage dealt by splinter, which is physical damage, which means if you scale your physical damage, then you're scaling your razor tip bleed, and then your razor tip bleed further gets scaled by the bleeding damage, which means it is important to scale our physical damage. As a result, the mastery trees have changed a little bit. We're scaling splinter damage here and here, scaling physical damage here and here, and I think that's all that's changed here, but I'll leave it up for just a moment so you can see it. We've also made a few changes throughout the skill trees, which I'll go over in just one moment. First, let's talk about the gear. As far as the helmets, or the gear in general, I've tried to get one of each type of resist. I have Holy Resist here, Fire and Shadow, Lightning, Poison, Frost, and Physical. Just to round out the resistances, we can go into the anomaly and check them out. So you can see I have 80% of every resistance and 77% physical. One thing I've been deciding possibly as an option is re-rolling this 15% all res. If I were to re-roll that, then with Cold Snap up, I'm still at 75 across the board, except Fizz is at 69, which this is probably fine, and that could be another 22% overpower, which would bring us up to 94%. And the next thing that's changed is I rerolled health into crit damage because it wasn't actually that much health. The rune on the charm has changed. It now uses the elemental attunement thing. It's from combining all of the elemental stones. I'm not 100% sure how this works. I'm doing frost and physical damage, which would be a 40% boost. But we also have wisps, and I'm not sure if they count as well, but if they do, that's 60%. The lesser rune that was on the accessory has moved to the amulet. We've also rolled all res on the amulet into overpower and rolled percent reduced damage taken into explosion on kill. This is important because it's ethereal damage, which means it's scaled by all of our damage types, and it's also based on health, which is really important because as you go up in anomalies, the monsters get a lot of health, and this can create chain reactions. It's worth noting that losing 20% reduced damage taken isn't actually that big of a deal because it's multiplicative. This 65 only goes up to 72 in that case. These two have changed greatly. The bow we've changed to rapid shot. Now gains as many arrows as your rank of multi-shot, as well as multi-shot fires 5 additional arrows. I don't think anything else has changed here. I think we're good there. The other things that have changed is 5 points into multi-shot, A few less points in Treant Guard and Distant Winds to go into here. Nothing's changed here. We've put 3 points into Wisp. Wisps can paralyze the targets now, so it's just extra crowd control. And I don't think anything's changed here. I think I moved points from Ice Dash back into Cold Snap. But that's really what's changed with the build. I'm going to be posting another Anomaly 15 run, so you can kind of see how the damage has changed. But I think it's about twice as fast, which is a pretty big deal.